to Raise a Child. My beloved and I got married. Then we had children. I love to read, so the first thing I did was get tons of baby books. I'm on the How to Raise Children ones now. Arthur was kind of exasperated at how many I requested, but no expense is too great for my child.
There, all done. Can you handle it from here?
Of course. Wait, have you burped them yet? Now, what do you do again? Rub their back? Or leave them be? Hang tight. I started flipping through a few books. Most say you're supposed to gently pat their backs. All right, I'll do that then. I held my child and gently patted their back. After a few moments, there was a soft burp. Good, the books had the right answer. Having a good book to refer to for your first child is really important. When they first started rolling over, I got worried they'd get stuck on their belly, so I checked my books. What should I do? Each book says something different. Which way is the right way? In the end, I read through a bunch and just went with whatever got mentioned the most.
You don't have to look up every little thing, you know.
I know I don't, but I wanted to do the best for my baby, and thorough research told me what best was. And besides, looking up and finding an answer gave me a sense of relief. It feels good to know you're doing the right thing. On the other hand, not knowing was nerve-wracking. Anytime something happened, I would run for my books. Then one day, the baby had a fever. Panicking, I grabbed the nearest book. As I did, my beloved gave me a sharp look. You reached for a book before your child? Which is more important to you? Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I hadn't even tried to think for myself. I'd picked up a book before even going to my sick child. I'll think for myself. Promise. I looked my wife in the eye and said that. Then, I made the same promise to my child. Books have a lot of useful information, but you have to think for yourself first. And they have other, better uses for your kids anyway. And so, Mr. Tittles made it home safe and sound with tail held high, master of all that he saw. As bedtime stories for one. It might be a little early, but I wanted to share my love of reading with my child. Books are amazing. With a turn of the page, you can become an adventurer or a king. You can explore new and wonderful lands without ever leaving your room. I'd like my child to experience that joy. Though I'm pretty sure they're still a bit young to understand them just yet. But they seemed happy enough to sit on my lap and listen. After a moment, I realized they were staring up at me. Whoops, almost forgot. And they lived happily ever after. When I said that, my child bounced and cooed with delight. Back when I'd looked in my books for answers, my beloved said we should look up our own way of doing things. She was right. Our child isn't the only one learning. We are too. I reached for the next book and began to read aloud. Leaving our child with my beloved for a bit, I went shopping and ran into Arthur. He told me he'd found a book on raising children so rare that it was legendary. I told him I'd rather look at my child than book pages. Arthur smiled and told me it looked like I'd found my own way. I smiled back and said, and they all lived happily ever after.